There is a man standing at the counter of an auto parts store right now, and he is about to spend $189 on a battery he does not need. He is not stupid. He is not careless. He did exactly what he was told to do. His car wouldn't start this morning. He drove it to the nearest parts store on a jump, and he asked them to run the free battery test. The machine beeped. A number came up on a little screen. The kid behind the counter looked at it, looked at him, and said the 4 words that end almost every conversation in that building. Yeah, it's bad. Here's what nobody in that store is going to tell him. That machine did not test his battery. It tested the connection to his battery. And somewhere on that connection, under a crust of white and green powder that's been building for 2 years, is a resistance problem that will make a perfectly healthy battery look like it's dying every single time. I'm going to show you the actual difference between those 2 things in the next few minutes, and then I'm going to give you the exact 5-minute procedure that separates them for good. It costs about $1 in materials. Most of you already own everything you need. The symptom you've been trained to misread. You know this feeling. You turn the key, and there's a hesitation, a slow crank, or a click, or dash lights that dim and flicker before the engine finally catches. Maybe it happens more in the cold. Maybe it happens after the car sits for a few days. Maybe your dome light was left on once, just once, 3 years ago, and you've blamed that phantom drain for every hard start since. Every one of those symptoms has 2 possible causes, and they get treated as if they're the same problem. One is a battery that has genuinely lost the chemical capacity to hold and deliver a charge. Sulfated plates, dead cells, a battery at the end of its real service life. The other is a connection that can no longer pass current the way it's supposed to, because the metal between the battery post and the cable clamp has partially converted itself into something that isn't metal anymore. The second problem produces the exact same symptoms as the first one. Slow crank, dimming lights, a weak reading on a load tester, and it is fixed with a wire brush, not a wallet. I want to be fair to the guy behind the counter. Before I go further, I want to say something plainly. The tester at that parts store is a real piece of equipment, and in most cases it is not being used to scam anyone. It measures conductance across 2 points, the terminals you clip it to. If those terminals have 12,000 ohms of resistance sitting between the clamp and the post because of corrosion, the machine has no way of knowing that. It reports what it sees. What it sees is a battery that appears to be failing, because from an electrical standpoint, at that exact point of contact, it is failing to deliver current properly. The employee reading that number isn't lying to you either. Most of them were never trained to clean a terminal and retest before selling a battery. Their job is to sell what the machine says needs replacing. That's not a conspiracy. Nobody in a back office decided to profit off of corroded lead posts. It's just that a testing method with a known blind spot got standardized across an entire industry, and nobody upstream had a financial reason to fix the blind spot, because the blind spot sells batteries. That's the whole story. No boardroom. Just an incentive nobody bothered to correct. Ray Dombrowski knew this 40 years ago. I learned the real version of this from a man named Ray Dombrowski, who ran an auto electric shop out of a converted garage bay in Scranton, Pennsylvania, from 1974 until he retired in 2016. Not a mechanic in the general sense, an auto electrician, a much narrower and, back then, much more respected trade. People brought him cars that ran fine everywhere except starting, cars that 3 other shops had already thrown alternators and batteries at with no change in the problem. Ray kept a beat-up voltmeter with a torn, and he told me the first thing he ever checked, before the battery, before the starter, before the alternator, was voltage drop across every connection in the charging and starting circuit. He said the battery gets blamed for what the connections actually did. His exact words, and I remember this because he said it more than once. The battery is the last thing that fails and the first thing that gets replaced. He wasn't guessing. This is a documented electrical principle with a name, voltage drop testing, and it predates the automobile entirely. It comes out of telephone and telegraph line maintenance in the late 1800s and early 1900s, when linemen had to explain why a fully charged relay battery at a remote station still couldn't push a signal down the wire. The answer, again and again, was corrosion at a junction. A connection point that had enough resistance to choke the current without ever fully breaking the circuit. The fix crews carried petroleum jelly and a wire brush in their kit for exactly this reason, decades before anyone was doing it to a car. Your battery terminal is a junction. It behaves like every junction has behaved since we started running current through metal. The chemistry hasn't changed. Only the number of people who understand it has gone down. The actual mechanism, taught plainly. Here's what's physically happening under that crust on your terminal. Lead battery posts are made of a lead alloy. The clamp is usually lead as well, sometimes with a copper or brass core. When your battery charges and discharges, it vents tiny amounts of hydrogen and sulfuric acid vapor around the terminals. That's just how a flooded lead-acid battery works. It's not a defect. That acid vapor reacts with the metal at the post and clamp junction, and over months and years builds a layer of lead sulfate and copper sulfate. Both of those compounds are far less electrically conductive than the bare metal underneath. This is not folk wisdom. This is basic electrochemistry. The same sulfation reaction that happens on the battery plates themselves, happening on a smaller scale at the surface of your terminals. The difference is that plate sulfation, if it's severe and long-standing, can genuinely ruin a battery. Terminal sulfation just insulates a connection that would otherwise work fine. Ohm's law does the rest. Even a small amount of added resistance, multiplied by the couple hundred amps your starter motor demands for a split second on a cold morning, produces a real voltage drop right at that junction, sometimes half a volt, sometimes more. That's E with the engine off. Set your meter to DC volts and touch the probes directly to the battery posts themselves, not the clamps, the actual lead posts under them, which usually means loosening the clamp slightly to get metal-on-metal contact. Note the number. Now have someone crank the engine. Just crank, don't let it start if you can help it, or use the crank position if your car has one, and watch the number during the crank. A healthy battery under real starter load typically won't drop much below about 9.6 volts for more than a second or two. Now move your probes to the outside of the clamps, the same test, same moment of cranking. If the reading at the clamps is noticeably lower than the reading at the posts during that crank, even half a volt lower, you have found your problem, and it isn't your battery. That gap is the voltage drop happening inside the corrosion itself, in the sliver of space between clamp and post that looks solid but conducts current worse than the wire on either side of it. Enough to starve your starter of the current it needs, slow the crank, dim your lights under load, and make a load tester read low because the tester is measuring downstream of the exact spot where the current is being choked off. None of that means your battery is bad. It means the road between your battery and your car got narrower. The 5-minute test that tells you which one you actually have. Problem you have using a $10 multimeter. The same one you might already own for testing outlets or Christmas lights. With the engine off, set your meter to DC volts and touch the probes directly to the battery posts themselves. Not the clamps, the actual lead posts under them, which usually means loosening the clamp slightly to get metal-on-metal contact. Note the number. Now have someone crank the engine. Just crank. Don't let it start if you can help it, or use the crank position if your car has one. And watch the number during the crank. A healthy battery under real starter load typically won't drop much below about 9.6 volts for more than a second or two. Now move your probes to the outside of the clamps. The same test, same moment of cranking. If the reading at the clamps is noticeably lower than the reading at the posts during that crank, even half a volt lower, you have found your problem, and it isn't your battery. That gap is the voltage drop happening inside the corrosion itself, in the sliver of space between clamp and post that looks solid but conducts current worse than the wire on either side of it. If both readings track close together and both sag hard, that's a different conversation, and I'll be straight with you about that later. The actual fix. If the terminals are the problem, here's exactly what Ray did in his shop, and what I do on every car I own. Disconnect the negative terminal first. Always first. This is the one habit that keeps you from ever creating a spark near a battery that's off-gassing hydrogen. Loosen the clamp bolt, pull the clamp straight off, and only then disconnect the positive the same way. Mix a tablespoon of baking soda into about a cup of warm water. This neutralizes the sulfuric acid residue on contact. You'll actually see it fizz slightly where it touches real corrosion, which is oddly satisfying, and also how you know it's working. Dip an old toothbrush or a small wire brush into the solution and scrub both posts and the inside of both clamps until you're down to bright metal, not just wiped clean. A dedicated terminal brush, the kind with a cone-shaped wire bristle end, sold for about $2, makes the inside of the clamp much easier, but a stiff wire brush and some patience works fine, too. Rinse the baking soda residue off with a small amount of plain water so you're not leaving an alkaline film behind. Then dry everything completely with a rag, or let it air dry for a minute. Before you reconnect anything, coat the posts with a thin layer of dielectric grease or petroleum jelly if that's what you have. This is the exact same product Ray's telephone lineman predecessors carried, doing the exact same job, sealing air and moisture away from the metal so the reaction that caused this in the first place can't restart. Reconnect positive first this time. Tighten the clamp bolt snug. Not gorilla tight. Snug enough that the clamp can't rotate or lift off the post by hand. And finish with the negative. That's the entire procedure. 5 minutes, $1 of baking soda, and grease you probably already own for something else. What this does not fix, and I want to be very direct about that, this will not revive a battery that has actually reached the end of its chemical life. If your battery is 6 or 7 years old, if it's been through repeated deep discharges, if the voltage drop test above shows both post and clamp readings sagging together under crank load, you have a genuinely tired battery, and cleaning the terminals is not going to change that. Clean terminals on a dead battery just gets you an honest diagnosis instead of a hidden one, which is still worth doing, because now you're paying for a real problem instead of guessing. This also will not fix a parasitic draw, something in your car quietly pulling current while it's parked and off. If your battery is fully charged at night and dead by morning even after you've cleaned perfect terminals, that's a wiring or module issue, not a terminal issue, and it will not fix a failing alternator that isn't replacing the charge you use every time you drive. A clean terminal lets your charging system do its job properly. It doesn't replace the charging system. What you actually walk away with, here's the part that matters more than the dollar you saved. Once you understand that the battery is bad and the connection to the battery is bad are two completely different failures that produce identical symptoms, you stop being a person who hands a machine's verdict to a stranger and pays whatever it says. You become someone who can run a 90-second check yourself and know before you spend a cent which category your problem actually falls into. That's the real difference between owning a car and renting your understanding of it from whoever's behind the counter that day. If this is useful to you, do 2 things for me. First, grab your multimeter, run the post versus clamp test I just walked through, and tell me the actual numbers you get. Both readings, side by side. I want to know how many of you are sitting on a terminal problem being sold to you as a battery problem, because that number tells me exactly how widespread this is. Second, if you've already been told your battery failed a test recently, go back and check the terminals before you accept that verdict, and come back and tell me what you found. I'm working on the next one now. The actual difference between a starter that's genuinely worn out and a starter that's just suffering from the same corroded connection problem on its own ground strap, which is a $5 fix that gets misdiagnosed as a $400 part almost as often as this one does. If today's video saved you a battery you didn't need,